This is June in our proclaimed year of hope. This month, we are supporting Yoga for All movement, a new program for Sisters Share. We are fortunate to have Chandara Gill. Now, am I pronouncing that correctly? Okay, good.
Yes, you are. Thank you.
The founder of YFAM with us this evening, which is Yoga for All movement. But I've seen that on their website, YFAM, so I think that we're permitted to use that term. So let's begin our celebration toasting. To our special speaker, Chandara, we are so grateful for you and all your work. We wish you health, hope, and happiness. Oh, that's delicious. Now we're going to celebrate our June birthdays. In the newsletter, we have them all listed. And I don't know if they're here this evening, but I have on the 3rd, Patty. On the 5th, in memory is our beautiful Linda Appleton. 9th is Tamara. 10th, Liz Hoffa. 13th today is Lynn. 15th is Barbara D. 23rd is Karen C. And 28th is Pam J. And 29th is Erica C. And she's up in Yosemite, so will not be here. Erica, let me know. And did I miss anyone else who has a June birthday? Okay. So sisters, we wish you beautiful birthday blessings, health, hope, and happiness. To our birthday girls. To our Sisters Share leadership team, Sherry O, Kay, Marisa, Terry, Kira, and Andrea. We love you and we thank you for your care and all the support that you give to us. We wish you health, hope, and happiness. Now, I know it's early, but we look beautiful. So I'm going to ask Sherry O to take a couple of photos of us. We might do one later if we get more added in, but we'll start off with pictures, photos. So get those smiles ready.
And Ferris just texted me that she'll be here pretty soon. She's kind of like stuck in traffic coming from Watsonville.
Okay. So we might have to take another photo, but we'll take a pretty one now.
Pretty.
Oh, there she is.
Oh,
No.
there's Fair Shay.
Oh, this is crazy.
Julie, who's with you?
Oh, shoot.
This is, this
Oh,
Sister of the Heart. I'm up in Reading, and so a new sister for us.
Yay! Welcome.
hi, everybody. I don't see my image again. And this happens a lot with the sisters. I don't know why, but I'll check out and come back in.
Okay,
And
we'll
it's
take a
Thursday.
picture later if we miss you.
What's that?
Okay. We'll take a photo later with you in it. if we
Okay,
miss
thank you. Thank you.
Of course. So Sherry, have you taken or are you taking?
Do you want me to take one now? Okay, and I can always
Yes.
Photoshop her in too. Okay, I'm gonna get it ready and then everybody, let's just have big smiles for this one. I'll say 1, 2, 3, and we will smile. 1, 2, 3, click. Yay. Okay, and we can take one later too if we think of it.
Okay, I'll put it down. I'll write it down. Okay, and then now it's time for our drawing for the beautiful golden sunshine basket, handmade by a fair trade Vietnamese artisan. And here is the basket. I hope you can see. Can you see the sunshine golden basket? I think it's so pretty. And it's a nice size basket. Okay. got to stir them up good. Kira. Woo-hoo.
Oh,
Now that was a nice expression. Ooh.
And you're
Yes,
gonna have to go to
you
Colorado
did.
to give it to her.
yeah. Come visit.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, I figure if you have to ship it, you might as well ship a person with it, you know? That'll be good. Well, congratulations. Hey, Charlie, you've got a new basket to sniff. Okay, I'm gonna write that down. Okay. Now, we are going to hear, oh, no, we've got one more toasting to do. I forgot. Now it's time for our traditional toast, which is, please lift your glasses. Here's to strong women. May we know them. May we be them. May we support girls and women to become them. To strong women, to Sisters Share. Yay. I may do things out of order tonight. We're getting ready to leave tomorrow, and whew, I'm just going to breathe and be present at the time. Okay, now we're going to hear from our speaker and learn more about the Yoga for All movement. At the end of the sharing, she will guide us through a few yoga movements. And after she shares, then Andrea will facilitate our question and answer time. And after question and answers, Kira will post in the chat all the giving information. So Shandara, where did she? Oh, there she is. Okay. Are you ready to share with sisters?
Yes.
Yay.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for having me here to the Sherrys and the Terry. I was supposed to come, I think May of 2020. So it's been a wild year for lots of reasons. And I'm happy to be here now. So thank you so much. So I'm going to start us off actually in a little bit of a social justice oriented meditation practice. I will let you know that this might be triggering. So just going to acknowledge that, just a trigger warning. So what I want you all to do first is just recognize where you are in your space and maybe naming just to yourself. No need to do it out loud because this is just for you right now in this practice, even though we're in community together today. Just 5 things that you can see in your space.
Okay, I joined with my phone, and then if my computer works, then I'll come back. I mean, I'll go to that one. Sorry.
No problem. Hi, welcome. My name is Shandara. I'm the founder and director of Yoga for All movement. So I'm just going to ask, since you're coming in late, to find a comfortable seat for yourself and then just orient yourself in time and space where you're at. Being able to name maybe 5 things that you can see. It's just for you. No need to do it out loud. Any smells that you can smell, any sounds that you can hear. Allowing yourself to be in your seat. And you might allow your lower back to relax all the way into your chair or your couch, or if you're standing, feeling the full weight of your feet into the ground, grounding into the foundation of who you are and what it is that you burn for, which for us at Yoga for All movement means, what is it that you deeply care about? And what we're looking for here when we ask you what you deeply care about is, what are your universal values? So for you, that could be compassion for yourself and all others, dignity, love, justice, equity, everyone's right to thrive, So consider for yourself, what is it that you burn for? What is that special gem that you either wish to see in society, wish to see more of, or are able to actively recognize day in and day out? And then now the invitation is to notice your breath. Just noticing your breath as you breathe in, noticing your breath as you breathe out. I will continue to share a little bit throughout this presentation about who I am and what Yoga for All movement does and what we're aiming to do. But for right now, I want to read you some statistics that have led us to do the work that we feel so near and dear to our hearts, particularly within our jail population, where we teach yoga to people experiencing incarceration. So continuing to be in your comfortable seat and be in this practice of deep listening. The US has 5% of the world's population, but nearly 25% of its incarcerated population. Our spending on jails and prisons reached $87 billion in 2015, an increase of 1,000% from 7.4 billion spent in 1975. In 1973, there were only 200,000 people incarcerated in the US. Today, that number has grown to 2.2 million people. Notice your breath as you breathe in. Notice your breath as you breathe out. Perhaps continuing to recognize the way your belly rises with your inhale, contracting with your exhale. Remembering where you are right now and acknowledging that right now it's like this. From 1989 to 2017, the number of women in jails and prisons in the US grew 750%. Now, over 225,000 women are incarcerated today. In the American criminal justice system, wealth, not culpability, shapes outcomes. Many people charged with crimes lack the resources to investigate cases or obtain the help that they need, leading to many wrongful convictions and excessive sentences, even in capital cases. Notice the breath as you breathe in. Notice the breath as you breathe out. Racial disparities persist at every level, from misdemeanor arrests to executions. The tough on crime policies that led to mass incarceration are rooted in the belief that Black and brown people are inherently guilty and dangerous. That belief still drives excessive sentencing policies today. More incarceration doesn't reduce violent crime. We continue to treat issues of poverty and mental illness with the criminal justice system, but all or majority of people leave that system traumatized, institutionalized, and more oppressed from when they entered. Jail at one point was considered rehabilitation. Obviously, we have shifted in perhaps that initial goal when we put money instead of human dignity at the center. It's important to know that for the last 2 decades, as crime rates have plummeted, incarceration rates have still soared. Notice the breath as you breathe in. Notice the breath as you breathe out. Recognizing how this data, this information is landing in your body in this time. Many states can no longer afford to support public education, public benefits, public services, without doing something about the exorbitant costs that mass incarceration has created. For me, the hope is in the community that I know is defying the 70% recidivism rate, that is the rate of reincarceration in California, and thriving now in their release. Just last year, when we were still doing educational workshops and teacher trainings, we had 3 men come and talk about how their experience citing yoga as a formidable safeguard against further trauma supported them against their institutionalization and oppression that they were feeling. They talked about trust and knowing that I, as their yoga teacher, trusted them was paramount to their trust in their practice. They all talked about wanting to become yoga teachers. They all talked about wanting to be the change that they wish to see in the world. And they all recognize now that as they continue to walk their walk, they know that other people will join them because we all need to believe in people's capacity to change. Lastly, as we've pivoted and shifted into this work, while still continuing to support the collective grief and trauma that we're all feeling, supporting the relief of that. Right now, our incarcerated population around the US still makes up the majority of people who've been infected with COVID-19. That number has reached 7,000 people. And not everybody who's incarcerated, as we know, has been sentenced. So continuing to just feel your breath, feel the way this information is landing in your body. And now considering once again what it is that you burn for. Compassion, love, equity, justice, everyone's right on this planet to thrive. You might bring one hand to your heart and one hand to your belly, that fire within, and recognize how you feel in this current moment. Perhaps triggered, perhaps a little anxious, perhaps numb, neutral. This is a moment to recognize any thoughts that are coming through you, any feelings that are arising within you, and just allowing them to be as they are without needing to fix anything or change it or move it. Just acknowledging that right now it's like this. Right now it's like this. Opening your eyes if they're closed, and let's go through this grounding again of just recognizing where you are in time and space, maybe noticing 5 things that you can see. Naming those 5 things here to yourself, maybe even in a whisper, just to make it really tangible. Maybe noticing any smells that you smell, any sounds that you hear. You might bring your thumb and tap your thumb to your index finger, to your middle finger, to your ring finger, your pinky. Doing that a few times, coming back into the space. Thank you all. Before moving on, oh, thank you, Kira. Before moving on, is there anything anyone would like to share in this moment about how that felt for them? If it raised questions or answers or ellipses, whatever was felt in this moment. I want to leave time to come back as a community before I continue to talk at you for the next few minutes. Yes, go ahead, Marisa.
Oh, frustration, anger, not surprised, because yeah, it's a business. The prison is a business, and it's another form of slavery that is continuing. So it's just frustrating. And the wealth gap. We have so much, but it's like, how wealthy do you have to be? How much stuff do you have to have? How big a house do you have to hold other people down? And I don't know what the answer it is. It's so frustrating for me. It's just, what is the answer? I don't know.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear your frustration. And I also hear there was something really brilliant in your share, Marisa, about recognizing when you can see a flaw in one system, we're so much more available to see the flaws in other systems, right? So we're able to see that there's this huge discrepancy, right, between the haves and have-nots in our society, which does allow us to recognize, where there's other gaps. So thank you for that share, and I honor your frustration. That frustration, right, can be channeled.
I wish
into
there
the
was
righteous,
an
principled
easy
outrage.
solution.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I wish there was a solution. I don't know what it's going to take. I just don't know. It's so frustrating. Okay, I'm going to let other people speak. Thank you
Yeah, thank
for
you. I hear
allowing me to
you.
do that.
Yeah, I hear you, and I acknowledge that part of this work, right, is being able to channel our frustration into principled outrage, and that's what I hear when I hear you speak. So thank you for stepping into that courage this evening and sharing that. I think it's you all are here because you care, right? And that's first and foremost part of your core values is that care and that compassion. So I didn't share that with anybody to feel like, oh, I don't care about this, right? Acknowledging that I'm in good company here. Is there anybody else who'd like to share before sharing a little bit more about Yoga for All movement? Yes, go ahead. Thank you. Is it for
Fereshte.
Fereshte? Nice to
Yeah.
see you again. Yeah.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that my chest started getting tighter and tighter as you were reading the statistics, and to the point where I kind of wanted to cry.
Mm.
And but yeah, like Marisa, I don't know what the solution is, but I mean, I suppose each individual can do so much and be happy that whatever it is that they can do, but it is a big problem. And my heart goes out to all the incarcerated people.
Mm. Yeah.
Thank you for taking.
Yeah, thank you for your compassionate words, and thank you for bringing us to the body, right? That's what the purpose of recognizing, our somatic experience, our somatic meaning, our body, the tightness that we do feel, right? And how much of us probably walk around on even our really best days, right? Not acknowledging the way that our body feels. Marcia could speak to this too as another yoga teacher, that part of our role as a yoga teacher is to facilitate an experience of getting in touch with your body again, of really being able to feel what your body actually feels moment to moment and just recognize, oh yeah, my arm kind of hurts in this position when I do this. Oh, my stomach is kind of in knots. Maybe it's the way the teacher is speaking right now, or maybe it has nothing to do with the teacher. It's the way my yoga mat smells or the way, right? It's just that recognizing our somatic experience is so much a part of this work. And so when I'm teaching yoga in jails, that's the work that I'm doing, is allowing people to recognize that you have a body and your body has a memory, and our body keeps the score. So meaning whatever our mind will sometimes put on the shelf and think about on another day, we actually store experience right into the body memory. And so sometimes that's why our hip gets a little bit tense when we move into an experience with our in-laws or something. I don't know, trying to think of something maybe relatable, right? Or that chest tightness when we see somebody that we don't necessarily love working with in the office, or right? It's our body stores the emotional imprint from that experience, even where our mind will try to push something away. Anyone else? Thank you, Kara. I'm seeing you with your fingers going and sharing more information in the chat. Yes, Jamie, were you waving or would you like to?
Oh, no, I just wanted to thank you so much for the work that you're doing. I just know how really, really important it is to reach these people who under many different circumstances have arrived in a place where they're locked down and they aren't free. And many of them don't know what to do with maybe rage that's still inside of them or a feeling of helplessness. And so I think your yoga must really work wonders. And I know I was a very big proponent of Howard Rosenberg and his nonviolent communication, which he took into prisons. And I was so impressed with the fabulous work he did in reaching prisoners and where they felt heard. That was the number one thing, is that we listen. And my feeling is that if they taught nonviolent communication from kindergarten on, we might not even have wars in the world. It's just all about listening and people feeling heard. So, but yoga can do that too. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that share. I think a lot of people are in agreement with you. The nonviolent communication, right, is really paramount to our ability to really just to be able to hear each other. Yeah.
Well, bless your heart.
Thank you, Jamie. Anyone else? Yeah. Yes, go ahead, Linda.
Well, I have a question because I think that this past year, everyone's had their tensions, and people incarcerated must have even so much more with worries about getting sick and everything else. And is there any access right now to classes, to yoga and poetry and English?
Yeah.
Is there anything?
Thank you. It seems to have mostly been service-based, so based on the comfort and the safety level of the program partner, as well as their relationship with the jail. In my experience, it was really based on my comfort level. If I was willing to go in and wear a mask and practice outside, then I was able to. And then, we had protocols around that. And could keep 6 feet apart and do that. So and of course, how much anybody follows the news here in Santa Cruz, and then our local news, there was a huge COVID outbreak amongst the correctional officers. Thankfully, no individuals experiencing incarceration or inmates got COVID in Santa Cruz jails, which is pretty remarkable. I think that just speaks to how quickly Santa Cruz was locked down, and how much they kept people kind of intact into their community. So meaning that nobody, even people who are awaiting their prison sentencing, nobody was shipped off to prison during COVID in Santa Cruz. They were able to complete some of their sentencing just in their local jails, and await prison sentencing to help minimize the spread of COVID, because that's really where it's been the most pervasive, has been in prisons, less so than our county jails. But I also teach yoga at Santa Clara County Jail, and I did have to stop in COVID. And just now, finally, I'm able to re-enter, and the way that we're re-entering is via online. We're not even able to go in person yet. So yeah, so some programs have stopped. It's been by county. And I know that poetry, is a big deal at Santa Cruz County Jail. And I do think some things are starting to open up again, some more programs. So yeah, thank you for asking that. We're lucky here in Santa Cruz. We probably have a very relatively low admittance of people actually experiencing incarceration within this county. And we have probably one of the more progressive sheriff departments of anywhere else. So for all intensive purposes, it's definitely a community that gets to receive an abundance of classes and programs so that they can re-enter into the community and have some sort of semblance of an opportunity to re-enter successfully. So I've been really really grateful to be doing this work here because I'm investing within a community that really thrives in reentry, right? They put faith in reentry practices, and they put faith in recidivism and in that data, and know that the best way to be able to support someone transitioning out of incarceration is to give them as many resources as they can. So we're lucky that way in Santa Cruz. And then that being said, Yoga for All movement has remained an unpaid program since 2014, since I started. We are still volunteer based. We don't receive any funding to do our services. Only funding comes from donors like you. So we've been really fortunate to be able to keep going because of individual donations. And then we don't have to rely on bureaucratic systems to keep going. We get to keep going because the faith in the community believes in the work that we're doing. So I think that's a good entry point to talk a little bit more about the work. So when I started Yoga for All movement in 2014, it did just start as an idea because I was already a social worker working with an organization called Friends Outside. And Friends Outside works as a kind of like the middle guy, right? In between incarceration and back into the outside community, and then supporting people with probation, parole officers, all the other services that they can need when they're coming out and reentering back into their community. So that was the work that I was doing. And that was really my first introduction into seeing the full scope of my privilege and just how lucky I have been in my life to know that I always have choices. And I think that that's really the work of Yoga for All movement is when we teach yoga, we're giving people back some agency in how they want to feel. Because when we feel like we don't have control over anything else in our life, the thing that we do have control over still is the way that we breathe, is the way that we move our body. And for some of us, sometimes the way that we move our body isn't really even in control, but we can still breath. We can still breathe. Our breath is our life force. So we can stop, we can pause, we can feel the way our breath expands into our chest and the way that we contract. We can feel the way the heartbeat moves in time with the breath. We can notice if we inhale and the way that breath moves into the back of our throat, and we can notice the way we exhale when we fog up a mirror, right? So those are the things that we can notice still about ourselves, even when the rest of our lives feel so disentangled, right? And so being able to be in a space where liberation, right, where freedom and where choices feel like concepts versus really tangible things, we're able to introduce this idea of, well, the breath work can be really radical and it can be really empowering. And you actually don't have to be reactive. You can take that time and you can pause and you can breathe and then consider your next move. And even in an institution, like an incarceration setting, like a jail, like a prison, like a mental health facility, like a sober living environment, like an addiction treatment center, where your choices are limited, you still have that choice. We can still choose to breathe. A friend of mine is a wonderful colleague by the name of Nicole Stewart. She's a woman of color, is also a social worker, and she talks about our breath being really radical. And we know that our breath is radical because our breath can also be taken away from us. So this is also then goes back to the heart of why yoga is so important within the Black Lives Matter movement. Every time we honor somebody who's fallen, who's died, right? We do the 9 minutes when we take the knee for George Floyd. That 9 minutes was the knee of Derek Chauvin on his neck, right? Stifling his breath, stifling his life force. We do the same thing when we do a die-in or we lie down for Breonna Taylor for 8 minutes. Her breath, her life force was taken away from her. Right? So this is really important work. This is how yoga can be really radical. It can point towards social change that we want to see, because we can introduce body mechanics, we can introduce breath, we can introduce meditation, right? The ability to allow our imagination to take us somewhere else from our present moment, not to escape, but to be able to deal with our present moment a little bit differently. Those are really radical concepts. So my work as a yoga teacher has been allowing this to be a little bit more accessible to all people. And that was really why I started Yoga for All movement. If I was noticing that the exclusivity around yoga was starting to get wider and wider and wider, and I could see that people were being narrowed out of the target market of yoga, right? And who yoga was actually for, and namely people who look like me, right? 30-something-year-old white women who don't know how to brush their hair, right? And wear like fancy earrings are generally the target for yoga marketing and advertising. You know, the women on the beach and the cute little shorts and the tops, and I love it. I love everything about doing yoga on the beach, and it's not knocking that at all, right? But when we focus so much of our energy and attention and who we're marketing to, I think that sometimes we as a society, whether purposely or not purposely, we forget about who are we leading out and who is this actually really for. So I started to see this and I got a little bit frustrated, and so I actually left my teaching practice when I became a social worker, because I felt like these two communities don't necessarily belong together. They're clearly siloed. And if I wanted to be a real activist, I had to leave yoga behind me, because I was just a little too woo woo and spiritual for me, not realizing that there is this really beautiful, digestible bridge between the two. So I started teaching yoga in jail, and that was just where I found my flow. That's where I found my bliss, working with men who are experiencing incarceration primarily. I've mainly worked in men's only jails, and 15 guys sitting down, all different walks of life. But their one thing that they all have in common is where they're at right now. And then their second thing they all have in common, right, is that they can all breathe. So that's our work, was just sitting and breathing, noticing the way our body feels when we breathe, and then noticing that that's our oneness, that that's our collective thing that we have together, that we all share. And that's a really empowering concept. That starts to level the playing field when you talk about working with rival gang members in jail, right? Which happens a lot. That starts to level the playing field when you start thinking about rival race relations in jail, which happens a lot. Jail is a microcosm of all the society's ills, right? Everything that you could think of happens there. So we got to level the playing field somehow. We have to create that bridge. I really think we can do that with breath and through laughing when we're doing downward facing dog, right? Just doing things that don't have to be taken so seriously with our body, but feel really, really, really good. And so that was the work that I was doing for a long time. It only became a nonprofit organization, 501c3, in 2017. That was when we had our inaugural celebration, was in October of that year. So I'd already been doing the work for about 3.5 years. Other yoga teachers were working with me as volunteers, and Yoga for All movement was born from that mindset of, who else isn't receiving the benefit of yoga, because the exclusivity of the industry is unintentionally siloing people out from this experience? Who else is not receiving this work? So we started working with people in recovery from substance use. Naturally, that was a really accessible entry point since we were already in jails. But we also started working in schools. And that's been a really beautiful experience, to work with elementary school students up through middle school and all the way out when they get out into high school. And we have a partnership with County Office of Education to be able to do that really effectively. We also were working with people experiencing homelessness. We've also been working with isolated seniors. That's been the bulk of our work actually in 2020 during COVID, is we've been doing online classes for seniors who haven't felt comfortable going back into their communities. So we've been doing that work. And that's really our focus right now. We've been working with people who are experiencing isolation as a result of COVID. We will start back working with children in the fall through schools and supporting them coming out of the trauma of being out of school, right? And healing from that collective grief that COVID has caused. And we're also still maintaining our jail partnerships. So I think that the underlying thread here really is healing from trauma. We can do that through yoga, through a process of somatic healing and coming back in touch with the body. The other theme is liberation, right? And empowerment. How can we liberate ourselves from our own suffering when we don't feel like we have much of a choice in the matter? What's one thing that we can do? We can breathe, and we can do that collectively. And then the other theme, which is actually the mission of our organization, is utilizing yoga and other holistic practices as an entry point towards social transformation in our society. So that's our mission. Yoga for All movement aims to utilize yoga as a vehicle for social transformation in our society. We shifted it in 2020, where our mission was about making the practice of yoga accessible to all people. Any guess as to maybe why we shifted it? Don't worry, no quiz at the end of this presentation, just wanting to engage with you all. So the reason why we shifted is because access is one point of equity, being really what I talked about, leveling the playing field, right? When we think about equity, I think about fairness is the way that we can really loosely translate equity in our society, right? In the term of the social justice term of equity. So we think about fairness, access is one point of being fair. But access doesn't necessarily lead to systems change. And I'm a big believer that one of the reasons why I'm doing this work, and it most likely will not happen in my lifetime, but is to dismantle the criminal justice system. I'm a big believer that one of the reasons why I'm doing this work is to dismantle the pipeline from school to prisons, right? We know how that works through what Marisa was talking about, the wealth gap, right? Socioeconomic. Literally, poor communities are targeted, right? To ultimately end up incarcerated at some point, especially poor communities of color without access to good education, without access to healthcare, right? We know this. This is on purpose. This was intentionally designed. But the good news about it being intentionally designed is just like any good engineer would tell you, it can be undesigned, right? So we can design to be able to make a difference, and we can do that differently together. So that's really my invitation and my call to action for you all is I feel like one entry point towards making that difference is yoga and holistic health medicine. But there are others, right? Transformational knitting exists. Starting book clubs, sister share circles exists, right? Roller skating, transformational roller skating could exist. There are other entry points towards this. But I chose yoga as one because of the power of breath and movement, as recognizing our commonality as humans with one another. Are there any questions so far? I wanted to take a lecture break and show you all a video about Yoga for All movement, but I can answer any questions at this time. So, okay, Terry's the one who recruited me, by the way. So you could all, I trust that you could always ask Terry too if you want to know more about Yoga for All movement and how we know each other.
I was gonna just comment that the reason there might not be some questions is you've just been just a really eloquent speaker, very articulate, very easy to understand, and just yeah, I just commend you, Shandara. I feel it takes a lot of bravery and courage to go into a place like a prison that, you know, it's quite frankly, I mean, it's the thought of it scares me, you know. I just feel you're a huge blessing to not only those people, but just the world in general. So I love what you're doing.
Thank
And
you, Terry.
thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you. Terry and I think Terry's come to a few of my classes at Breath and Oneness when I was still teaching to the outside community, which I do less and less now. And particularly with COVID, I got really burnt out on Zoom, so I haven't quite figured out how I'm going to transition. But I think it was Breath and Oneness at one point, and then she came and saw me speak at 1440 Multiversity. And that was a really funny experience for me because I'm used to speaking mostly at jails and in sober living environments and largely in institutions, you know, that aren't as beautiful as you might imagine 1440 is. And so it was already a little intimidating for me. But that was a really beautiful day because I think it's an example of what's possible when the ivory tower does kind of release, right? And 1440 made that day very affordable so that everybody could come to the campus and be able to do as much yoga and sound healing and dance and drum circles and as much as all the woo-woo goodness that you wanted to do, right? And they were able to make it really affordable. And I loved that day because I think that that's a really beautiful example of when an institution, something like 1440, decides that they're going to make a difference, we have the capacity to be able to do that, right? We can actually, and I think Sisters Share is a good example of that, right? Putting your money where your values are. You all demonstrate that in various different ways, right? And it doesn't necessarily matter how much, but just being able to do something that's small, that's a chain reaction that has an impact on the rest of the world. And we're lucky if we get to see that impact. That was the best advice I ever received as a mentor from a mentor, because I was feeling a little bit down on myself and not really sure if I was doing anything that was actually making a difference. And she quickly humbled me and said two things. She said, one, we're lucky if we ever get to see the impact of our work. Very lucky. Two, our lifetime is not an accurate measurable tool for success. So sometimes it's about planting the seeds, and then that's the work that we do. Really, we plant the seeds, we do the best that we can, and then we're lucky if we get to see the fruits of that labor, right? But that shouldn't deter us from doing it. And so that's why I try to keeping on with this work, regardless of the challenges. But I'll pause here again on my lecturing and just let you see a video in case there are any other questions that come up while you're watching the video. So Sherry O, if you wouldn't mind making me a co-host, then I'd be able to share my screen. And you can do that by clicking on the participants. Yep, perfect. Thank you. Give me one moment here. And exclude entire groups of people. And that's just one of the unintended consequences of something that becomes so big and so popular, is that we have a tendency, I think, as a society to make it really exclusive and really privatize it. And so I wanted to take yoga, which is such a basic healing source, really. It's just about breath and movement, and make it more accessible to all people.
Shawnee reached out to me during my yoga teacher training and said, hey, I've got a great opportunity for you, and we'd like you to bring yoga into rehab units and into the jails. And for me, with a background in recovery, I thought this was a perfect combination for me to match recovery with yoga and to bring mindfulness to a community, to a group of people that could really affect their lives and really make a difference in our world and in our community.
My mom is in recovery, and I shared that with my class a few weeks ago, and one of my students gave me something that he wrote, just speaking about his sobriety and what his sobriety means to him, and he gave it to me so that I could share it with my mom, and that was really special. My main drive for being a volunteer with Yoga for All movement is bringing yoga to communities who wouldn't otherwise practice yoga. It's as simple as that. And I just think that the world is a better place because of yoga. And financially, it can be really difficult for people to practice. So bringing it to underserved communities who need it more than some others do.
Sometimes things like yoga can feel distant and unattainable for folks that are in marginalized communities, like the population we work with. A lot of the folks we work with have a mental health diagnosis, and so I think there's some kind of internalized fear of like going and doing something like a yoga class because maybe they'll get judged. And so I think what I would love is for our participants through the Yoga for All classes that are offered to feel more like they have a place that they can come together and engage in this healing practice that really does nourish them, where they might not feel that in other places. And hopefully they can use what they've learned here as a springboard of like, I can do this, I can feel accepted, and, try to engage more in, other opportunities in the community, whether it's yoga or other kind of ways to take care of their bodies and heal themselves.
I want to see yoga as a part of this system that dismantles the school to prison pipeline. I want to see yoga as a recognized healing resource, so that people can walk into any yoga studio anywhere in the world and have their Medi-Cal card and be able to get free yoga. So I don't know if that's where we're going to be fully in 5 years, but I definitely see Yoga for All movement as a part of research. I see Yoga for All movement as a part of policy change, so that really just more access to healing, and so that people can feel at their fullest potential.
and that they have that capacity to really be able to heal themselves, and that they don't need medication, they don't need these other forms of medicine that we know are just really not working for people. And I see just yoga as a part of that change, because we've been doing the same things and expecting different results for a long time. And I think yoga is a part of making that difference. Thank you. The Zoom clap, right? When we do this, or the sign language clap. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Are there any other questions at this point? I know we want to move together, so I'm excited to do that. We're going to do some chair yoga, like what you saw in the video. I will share. I think just looking at my notes here, if there's anything else that I haven't necessarily covered.
I have a question,
Yeah,
Chandana.
thank you.
Deal. You are a wonderful presenter, by the way. Really enjoying it. I'm just really engaged. And I also want to acknowledge my own yoga teacher here tonight, Marcia. So I know for sure that yoga is super transformative. But I wanted to ask about the participants, and sort of, it looks like they were, really into it. But like you said, there's probably some trust there or some discomfort when they hear about a yoga class. They probably feel like it's like maybe nothing they've tried before. So I was just wondering, like, how do you advertise it to the different populations, and how do they sort of come to it, and do they stay, and do they tell you about how it changes them? I just want to know a little bit more about them.
Sure. Yeah, thank you for asking that question, Gail. So, um, it was something that I hadn't really hadn't communicated yet, is that we do something really specific within yoga, which we make this yoga practice trauma sensitive. And I don't want to take for granted that all yoga practices are trauma sensitive, but that's my desire. That's the change I want to see. But trauma sensitive, what that really means is being able to hold space, right, for anybody that's experiencing whatever it is that they're experiencing in the moment. And I think sometimes we cause unintentional harm in a yoga class um, if we say anything that's not necessarily an invitation, if we're like, do this or do that, right? Sometimes it can feel really demanding or forceful. And so the way that I integrate people into the class is I first just share with them, well, how are you feeling? What's going on in your body? And if people can't answer that, I'll just, do a few movements and be like, well, how does this feel when you bring your arm like this? Well, how does this feel when you lift your leg like this? Right. And just really taking an interest in how the person is feeling that I'm working with. And when we're in a group setting, right, like that could be a little bit more challenging, and everyone could be talking at once. And so I noticed that in the group practice, that's like, okay, really activated nervous system reaction to the question of how you're feeling. So then that helps me know that we got to have a more active yoga class today. And when we do yoga together, I'll show you how I usually start a yoga class, particularly in my jail classes. Um, so how I advertise is really through just the practice. Is I'll go, sometimes we'll just go in, if I'm able to go into a staff meeting, I'll practice with the staff that are there, and just give everybody an opportunity to then share how they're feeling. And also to share that it doesn't have to always be a positive feeling. Yoga can bring up a lot for a lot of people. As we know, when we give our mind permission to be quiet, so much can start to speak really loudly to us, right? And that's often where we think about this thing that we said to somebody, or this thing that someone said to us, or whatever that is. So I think it's advertising through the work, and advertising through that word of mouth, really like telling everybody, please, like, if you enjoyed this, like, share this with others, right? This is a practice that's meant to be shared. And also shared, advertising through the permission to feel however it is that you're meant to feel, and recognizing that all those feelings are valid and have a seat at the table. So that's really how I recruit. Sometimes we have other more basic things of recruitment, like flyers, or there has to be um, there has to be buy-in from either counselors or correctional officers or any other staff. We're coming in as an outside contractor. And if people can be referred to the yoga practice, I mean, that's the best, right? When we were working in recovery, we really advocated for yoga to be a part of everybody's treatment plan. That way they would be able to do the practice while also in treatment and get credit for it, right? Same thing with yoga in jails. We just now, finally, right before 2020 happened, were able to account for milestones in a jail class. So what that means is if you do a certain number of yoga classes, in addition to other programming, you could be eligible for early release. And so having that incentive for taking care of yourself, I think is really paramount to this work. And so that's how we advertise too, right? Providing those incentives. Not necessarily a bribe to come into the practice, but everyone should have an incentive for them to doing something that feels really good in our bodies. And sometimes the incentive of feeling really good afterwards isn't enough, right? We need to come up with another way of engaging with people. Yeah, it's kind of a long-winded answer, but yeah, thank you, Gail. Yeah, Julie.
Yes, so I also volunteer in the jail system as part of a milestone program. And so I was curious, are you teaching out at Roundtree in like
Correct.
T, is in RS&T or just in T? And
Right now, just in T. Pre-pandemic, we were in all of them. Yeah.
and the main jail and Blaine Street with the women?
Correct. We still teach at Blaine Jail now with the women. It's just all online. Yeah.
Right, because yeah, everything's online. So, and even in the main jail, you were doing classes in the main jail?
We are not anymore, just with the shifts that were happening in the jail. But I hope to someday. Yeah, I think it is really needed in the facility. But also because I think yoga has become a milestone class that may have even made it not as possible for us to teach at the main jail, where Julie's talking about, so everyone knows, main jail is our max security facility. And it's often a facility that people will go to if they're there either for a drunken public, so maybe their stay is not very long, or they're just there awaiting sentencing to go for a higher prison sentence. So programming then becomes a little bit more challenging and not as much of an investment from the sheriff department because they're not going to necessarily re-enter back into our community. So that's also an important piece of this work, that we mainly work with people who we know are going to re-enter back into their communities some way, shape, or form. And we want to be a part of the reduction rate of incarceration, right? We want to be a part of reducing the recidivism rate in our community. So that's really important to us. So it's not just teaching yoga and bringing yoga to the source. It's also about making sure that people have access to yoga on the outside. We were working with a lot of yoga studios to be able to support that, to make sure that yoga felt really safe and affordable on the outside. Again, that's happening a little bit less now because we're shifting and transitioning post-COVID to really understanding what can this look like. So probably more yoga in the park coming soon, more yoga. Pleasure Point Yoga has been one of our more formative partners of really having accessible trauma-informed community-based classes. So we'll probably start that again soon as well. And just trying to keep options open. So not just bringing yoga directly to the source, but then making sure people have a really safe space to practice on the outside is a really big part of this work. And that's all because we want to reduce the rate of incarceration. We want to reduce the rate of people relapsing. We want to increase the safety of our overall community, increase public safety. And we think this can be one of the ways of doing that. And we've seen it. We've seen it be one of the ways that we do that. Yeah, thank you. Did I answer all your question, Julie, or did I just go on another tangent? Okay, thank you. Yeah, thanks, y'all. Any other questions? Anything else about our services or our programs?
I wanted to ask, Kira wrote something in the chat about you're doing something for Juneteenth.
Yes, thank you so much, Kara. I see that you're in Boulder, so maybe you won't be able to make it, but we are doing something for Juneteenth. Thank you.
So where is that being held? That's the only thing. It said time, but it didn't say where it's at. So, and I just want to say also, if anyone can do any kind of class with Shandora, she's really amazing. There was just something about just her voice. I mean, not even anything else she does, just her voice is so calming, so comforting. So I just want to put that out there. So that's why I'm wondering what's going on next Sunday.
Yeah. So next Sunday, I very much want you all to come, and we will actually not be teaching yoga so much next Sunday.
Oh,
Instead,
okay.
we're showing up as allies to really deeply listen to our BIPOC community. But essentially, what it is Yoga for All movement is the fiscal agency for the Black Lives Matter mural downtown. So what that means is Yoga for All movement was able to let this amazing community of artists utilize our 501c3 to be able to raise money for that mural to be able to happen. So that's one of our advocacy entry points as well, is we really believe in art and social justice and being a beautiful bridge between those two. And so that was something that was like, oh, we were definitely a hell yes to that. And we definitely are in vehement support for all Black lives mattering now and forever. So that was us being able to do that work. But we don't teach yoga there. We haven't yet, not like we won't ever, but we just haven't done a really community-wide yoga event around the Black Lives Matter mural. And the reason for that is because as like me showing up as a white woman and a white female leader, I want to really make sure that what I'm doing is writing the checks for that work to be able to happen as much as possible, and not centering myself and raising money for my organization and the experience. So what I hope that you all will do is come on Sunday, come see the mural. It was painted last summer. We're repainting it. And to also come and listen to some amazing speakers and workshops from our BIPOC community. There's Kat Willis, who runs the Tannery Art Center. We'll be doing a workshop and a class of sorts and a roundtable discussion. Tyree Ritchie, who's an amazing community organizer as a youth, he'll be talking about youth and activism. There's Bella, who started the Black Surf Club. She'll be talking about that and her organizing efforts. So it's from 10 to 5. You don't need to come to the all 7 hours. It's just downtown. You can walk around, maybe get some food, leave, come back. But that's what we're doing next Sunday. And I'll be there. I'll be there selling t-shirts that say Black Lives Matter on them. But I won't necessarily be teaching yoga. But I put my email there in the chat so that you can email with me personally. I am starting to get back into community-based yoga again. I'd love to teach Sisters Share and offer a free class to you all to just come, and we'll do maybe something in person out in a park somewhere, whatever would feel best for you. I would love to be able to do that, so that you get a self-care day as well. So we can talk about all those things. So if you want to email me, the Sherrys and the Terry have my email. We can talk about setting up a class, like a retreat day or something, and have that. Yeah. And we are raising money for that Black Lives Matter mural as well. So thankfully, the donations from tonight will go primarily to those efforts, and we'll split up those as well to go towards our continued yoga programs within incarceration settings in general, where we know people of color are primarily affected. So that is that work. Any other questions before we move?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, and you asked where the Juneteenth event is. So there's a full weekend of Juneteenth events. Saturday from 1 to 4 p.m. is at the London Nelson Center downtown, formerly the Loudon Nelson Center. And then Sunday is right in front of the mural, which is in Santa Cruz City Hall, downtown Santa Cruz. Yeah. Oh, you got it. Thank you, Kira. You're so on top of it. Appreciate it. It's all there in the chat for you all. So I want to be mindful of everyone's time. Let's just move a little bit together, do some breath work. Oh, thank you, Andy. So I'm going to invite you all to find your comfortable seat. Shoulders down, relax. And you might just start by bringing the shoulders up and around your ears just to see what this feels like of cradling your neck. And then exhale to let the shoulders relax down the length of your spine. And then keep that going with the shoulders up and around your earlobes, and then exhale all the way down the length of your spine. Continuing to breathe and moving at the same time. And I'm realizing, Marcia, you had your hand up earlier and I didn't call on you. While we're moving our shoulders, did you want to ask me a question?
Well, I wanted to comment on your sweet, effusive spirit that is so well informed about yoga and the direction that you have taken your training. It's just amazing and such good work. And I just wanted to let you know I'm touched and moved by who you are and what you're doing.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, I so appreciate that, Marcia. I know we've been at this a long time, separate and together, haven't we?
Yes.
Inhale, reaching the arms up together, taking all those acknowledgments and that gratitude from Marcia, and acknowledging that this is how resonance works, y'all. If you can see something that's powerful in me, that means there's something powerful in you that is identifying with how you see it in me. So you're going to take your powerful energy and bring your right arm over your left knee. I know it's hard to see me outside of the frame. What I'm doing with my left hand is I'm bringing it to the back of my chair or to a wall behind you, lengthening through the top of your head and taking that twist to just look over your left shoulder. Noticing the breath as you breathe in. Noticing the breath as you breathe out. Inhale to come all the way back up, reaching your arms up overhead with your palms coming together. Then exhale with your left hand over your right knee. Right hand comes back and behind you, taking that twist to look over your right shoulder. Noticing the breath as you breathe in, maybe inhaling, lengthening through the top of your head. Exhale, taking that twist to look over your right shoulder. Inhale together to lengthen. Exhale, coming back to center. This time, seated sun salutation. What that means is you're going to inhale, reach the arms up. Now, as you exhale, begin to fold forward, leading with your heart, bringing your hands towards your toes with your chin to your chest. Letting your neck relax and your head just hanging. Noticing the breath as you breathe in. Noticing the breath as you breathe out. So you might inhale and feel that breath expand into the back of your heart, a sense of winding into your rib cage. Exhale out through the top of your head and then walk your hands to meet your knees, pressing down into your sit bones and slowly roll all the way back up into your chair. Second set of just rolling the shoulders and noticing the way the shoulders cradle your neck like you were giving your neck a hug, thanking it for attaching your head to the rest of your body. And then as you exhale to drop the shoulders down the length of your spine, the invitation here is to let go of anything that's just not serving you anymore in this moment. Taking that deep breath in. Now, as you exhale, let the shoulders relax. And while you're here, I'm going to invite you to lift your left leg up, maybe pointing that left toe up towards the sky and using the strength of your thigh to lift that leg. Exhale, bending your left knee in and down. Inhale, lifting your right leg, flexing your thigh. Exhale, bending your right knee, bringing that right foot in and down. Inhale, lifting the left leg. Exhale, down. Inhale, lifting the right leg. Exhale, in and down. Inhale, lifting up through the top of your head. Exhale to fold forward, bringing your hands towards your toes, chin to the chest. Walking your hands up to your knees, pressing your sit bones down into the chair, and then slowly rolling all the way back up. Let's do a little seated pigeon pose here together. You might cross your legs, your right knee on top of your left, or bringing your right ankle to your left thigh, opening up the right hip. The most important thing here is to check in with your body mechanics, just noticing the way that your right knee opens up away from you, and then seeing how that feels into your hip, that extra rotation of your hip as you root down into the sit bones. Inhaling here together. Exhale, relaxing into your chair. Noticing the breath as you breathe in. Noticing the breath as you breathe out. Unwinding your right leg from your left. Let's inhale. Lift your left ankle just on top of the right thigh. Bending that left knee. Feeling the external rotation of your hip, and keep pressing the sit bones down into your chair. Just noticing how this feels in your body, and then continuing to connect with your breath. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale to lengthen through the top of your head, and as you exhale, gently unwinding your left leg. Inhale, lifting up through the heart. Exhale to fold forward all the way in and down. As you stay down here, still with the sit bones pressing down into your chair, leading with your heart and allowing your chin to relax to your chest, letting the head just hang loose. Silently affirming as you breathe, I am here, I am present, anything is possible. I am here, I am present, anything is possible. You're walking your hands up to meet your knees. Rooting down into the sit bones and slowly allowing yourself to come up one precious vertebrae right after the other. Landing into your seat. Giving thanks for everything wonderful that is already present within your life. Acknowledging that gratitude here, and then giving yourself an opportunity to feel it deeply within your body. Letting that gratitude permeate into your fingers, your toes, down the legs. Silently affirming one more time as you breathe. I am here, I am present, anything is possible. Letting the eyes open if they're closed, and seeing your sisters, these sweet little squares before we part ways together. Thank you all so much for being here. So appreciate you. I always say that bringing your hands together, you can think of it like a prayer, but my invitation to you is to think about it as connecting the dualities of who you are together at the heart, where there's balance, where there's equanimity, where all the parts of yourselves deserve that seat at the table. So thank you so much for having me. So appreciate you. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Just wonderful. I am already going to express that we are having a retreat day on August 1st. And if you would come, it's going to be at our home outside. If you want to come, if you're not already booked, for whatever period of time you can come. On August 1st, it's a Sunday. We'll be here from like 9:30 to 3:30 or 4. If you can, we would love it because we're going to be doing nature walk. Maurice's going to guide us in a nature walk to natural bridges. We're just going to have massages. It's going to be a fabulous day, and we would love for you to join us, get a massage, enjoy it with sisters, and lead us in some wonderful yoga movements too. And so thank you so much. This is just, it's what we needed. You know, I started crying because I get such sadness from the time I was a child when asked, what do you think the worst thing is? And I said, I would think it to be put in prison without being guilty of something. And I said, or maybe just being put in prison. And so that really made my head kind of throb and tears to my eyes, but that was a good release. And I'm so appreciative. And I think if Kira has not already, because I haven't watched the thing, to be able to give, this is what we have. We realize that there can be many asks and needs on your money, but if you can, please give. Ways to donate are in our June newsletter. Sisters, let's help Yoga for All movement bring yoga and mindfulness practice to our underserved community. You can go online to yogaforallmovement.org/donate, or you can send a check to YFAM 4041 Soquel Drive, A192, SoCal, California, 95073. Thank you again. I could kind of fly now. We are driving tomorrow to see my granddaughter and grandchildren, but this has just been wonderful, and I'm so grateful, and I thank you so much, Chandara, and you're welcome to stay if you'd like to. We're going to move into our gratitude, or if you need to go on, I know that you have a busy schedule too, and I'm going to ask Marisa, this is just because we've kind of prepared ourselves for the breathing and gratitude that Chandara led us through, that maybe we can just do a breath, a centering breath, and then go into gratitude, and then Terry will do gratitude. What do you think, Marisa? Is that okay with you? Okay, all right. And
Thank
so,
you so much for having me. I do need to go, but I will be there on August 1st and looking forward to seeing you all then. Yes.
Oh, yay.
Follow up via
Yay.
email.
Yay.
Thank you so much. I so feel your love and so appreciate it. And thank you.
So good to see
and I
you,
have one more
Chandara.
thing.
Yes. Thank you so much.
I have one more thing.
Yes.
We would like to ask if you would like to be a sustaining program for Sisters Share, which means you would join, like we have from Tip Global Health, Wendy, and each year we raise funds for that program. So a sustaining program. Now what this will take, sisters, I need to have a show of sisters supporting it. And then I need at least 2 leaders who are supporting that idea. How many sisters would like to support the Yoga for All movement another time? All right, good, good. Okay, we're a go. I just wanted to check on that.
Thank you so
Take
much.
care. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Okay, I'll turn it over to Marisa then. Is that what I didn't even look at my list, but I think that's what. And we're already, I think everybody will be on mute. And so that's what we need, so we can hear Marisa and then hear Terry. Okay.
So, hi everyone. Sherry O has peace and love. Ross. And Kay has strength and wisdom. I'm sorry, I don't see Kay. I guess she stepped out for a little bit. She has it. She has it in her heart and she knows her strength and wisdom. And I have hope and Terry has gratitude. So I'm just going to turn this over to Terry because we all are feeling all of those qualities, you know, love and peace and strength and wisdom and hope, because we have people like Shandara, I think is her name, you know, doing some great, and Wendy doing wonderful things in this world. That gives us a lot of hope. So turn it over to Terry for gratitude.
Thank you, Marisa. So for our gratitude circle, we're going to take a minute or two to share a favorite summer memory from your childhood, and then a memory you would like to make this summer. And if you want, you can show a photo or a keepsake with your sharing. But before we do that, Sherry O is going to read 2 poems.
Okay. Well, I'm actually going to read you haiku, which is a form of Japanese poetry made of short, typically unrhymed lines that evoke natural imagery. The first one is by Bethany Cove, and it's about childhood summer memories. Nighttime campfires, playing hopscotch every day, laughter all the way. And the second one is from Grace McPherson, and hers is, the rays of the summer sun, they fill me with warmth, worries, anxiety, none. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. Okay, so I'm going to start by ringing the chime. And then after the chime is done, I'm going to go ahead and call on Kay to be the first one to share. So first I'll start with the chime.
Okay. So some of my best summer memories. Every other year, my sister and my mother and I would go back to New York. My aunt, my cousins, and my grandma lived in New York City, but they had a place out on Long Island. And we would swim in the bay. We'd just be together. We have a tiny family. And we'd be together, and then we would go to Coney Island and we would swim in the ocean there. And it was just wonderful having that experience of being together. So it is some of my best memories, and notice water was in there twice for me. So that's a theme you will see, as always. For me, this summer is about safety for everybody as we expand, as we make it through the summertime and the weather as it is, and also connections, safety and connections, that people truly get to be with people that they love and are filled with just positive memories by the end of the summer. That's all.
Beautiful. That sounds great. And swimming in near Coney Island, that must have been cold for one thing.
Oh, but it had a great roller coaster.
Thanks for sharing, Kay. Next, I'll go ahead and call on Gail.
Hi, everybody. I was thinking about my memory earlier today. I'm 60, but I've probably spent about 56 summers or parts of summers in Lake Tahoe. And many of you know Lake Tahoe, but it's really a place dear to my heart. My mom also spent most of her summers there for her whole life. So it really, there's a real legacy and a lineage for Tahoe that goes way back. And there's one image I remember about staying in an A-frame one summer. For 6 weeks, we got to live in this A-frame, and all the cousins, I had lots of cousins, would just be dirty, barefoot, just so free and just hanging out together as young kids. So just a lot of great memories of Lake Tahoe, swimming too with water. So I really relate to that with Kay. And then the memory for this summer, I also feel sad about not traveling, but I think a memory that I hope to make is just really being with people, like sort of socializing. We have some parties, outdoor party, sort of backyard parties planned. And I'm just really excited. I'm an extrovert, so I'm really excited about being with people and just talking and being together with friends and family.
Yeah, how great. It's nice that we're coming back to some semblance of normal. So now, actually, I don't know if you have time, Kira, do you have to leave or can you? Oh, I guess she is gone. Okay. Kira put the message that she had to leave. She did want to bring Claire into the circle. Claire is in Congo right now. So if we can keep her and her organization in our thoughts and memories. If any of you have Facebook, she has done some Facebook postings as well. So, but I'll go ahead and keep moving with our gratitude circle. So next I'll go ahead and call on Linda.
Hi, everyone. So summers, the happiest times of my life really are summers in Cape May, New Jersey, with my grandparents and my favorite aunt and uncle. My mother had a brother and his wife, and here's a picture of some of my sisters and my grandmother
Nice.
at the beach. And
I'm sorry, I just have to interject. I just kind of wanted to point out to everyone, notice that is it grandma in the
Yeah.
photo?
Yeah.
But she still has a big handbag. She still has one of those proper handbags at the beach. So kind of like the queen, always with her
Yeah.
handbag.
Yeah, and anything you needed was in that bag.
Candy.
If you needed a
Yeah.
Band-Aid or a candy or what, it was in that bag. And then, this is my grandfather with my three sisters. My brothers, I guess, aren't in there, but that favorite aunt of mine, my Memorial Day weekend, my sister and I were able to go back just this last week or so, and she and I were able to spend 4 days with my aunt, and it was just wonderful. There we are. We just had so much fun visiting all the old places, riding the ferry, and she just brings as much joy to my life as she ever did.
Wow, that's great.
I feel so
you
lucky.
have your memories from before became revisiting those memories in real life.
Yeah,
for your
yeah,
summer
yeah.
now. That's awesome. That's
Connecting
wonderful.
the
Thanks so
present and the
much.
past, and it's still there.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for sharing, Linda. And Wendy, how that I wanted to say also, it's been so touching to see you being so affectionate and so loving with your mother throughout the meeting. It's wonderful.
This has been, I just want to say thank you to everyone. And I'm sorry that I'm going to have to leave a little early, but
that's fine.
She was feeling a little down today, and it was
Oh.
pretty cool to see her come out and want to do the yoga moves. And
oh, good.
I think she really enjoys being a part of this. So thank you.
Good. Well, I wanted to say it touched me to be able to see you and to be able to see her. And so I thank her for joining us. Thanks, Mom.
She said, thanks, Mom. You want to give her a big smile?
Thanks, Mom, for joining us. Thank you for being here. And thank you for that beautiful smile.
Oh. Everyone have a wonderful, I'll just say our family summertime. Oh, thank you. Summertime joy was going to Lake Powell every year. My brother and parents and I would go every single year maybe in retrospect, maybe not the best environmentally sound choice, but we would rent a houseboat with like 20 other people who would only see it that week during the summer, and otherwise we lived all over the country, and I will forever love Lake Powell. But, and
Aw.
thank you.
Thank you. Wow, it sounds like a wonderful time that you always looked forward to. That one time you knew you could see those people that 1 week out of that year. So that's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing, Wendy. And thanks, Mom. Thanks again for being here with us. It's a joy to have you here. Thank you. Okay, let me go ahead and call on Barbara.
Hi, everyone. So nice to see everyone. My favorite summer memory, I grew up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and our family relatives lived in California. So every year we would take the train, my mother and brother and sister and I, to California, 2 nights and 1 day, and we got to stay in those Pullman cars with the beds come down. And then in California, we would go to Disneyland and see the ocean. When you grow up in the Midwest, the ocean's just something you read about. So that's really one of my favorite memories. And every year going to Disneyland, it was just so much fun. And then in present time, we love going to Tahoe. A few years ago, I used to play handbells in a church, and they had a handbell conference at Zephyr Point Conference Center. And we learned, the conference got canceled actually, but we went anyways, my husband and I. And we stayed in a cabin. The cabins were once owned by ministers, and now people can rent them. And we learned that once you come for a week, it's your cabin every year for that week. And so we look forward to coming back every year, and we'll be going in August, the 3rd week in August. So,
oh, that's so cool.
Very much look forward to that. We love it. Yeah.
Wow. And now wait, and where is this located again?
In Lake Tahoe in Nevada.
Oh,
so near
okay.
Zephyr Cove, there's a
Wow.
Presbyterian
That's-
Conference Center called Zephyr Point that has its own beach. And,
Wow.
yeah, you gotta look it up. It's just
I am. I'm writing
beautiful.
this down right now.
And they rent out cabins there, and they're all
Sounds
different.
great.
Yeah, we
Wow,
love it.
thank you.
You're
Thank
so
you. And
welcome.
thanks also for pointing out the fact that from the Midwest, you would come out and it was a gift. It was a huge blessing to be able to see the ocean. So
Incredible.
I think
Yeah.
all of us, we're all pretty in tune with nature, but so many people aren't. So
Ocean, yeah.
yeah, we are very blessed. All right.
Thanks,
Well,
Sherry.
thank you for sharing, Barbara.
You're welcome.
Maureen.
Hello, everyone. So my Disneyland brought up a memory actually, so I have to bring that up. But I grew up in Orange County, and with not a lot of supervision. So we used to play around the neighborhoods a lot, and not really take trips or anything, but just make up things and be creative in the neighborhood with plays and having tours of different people's pets and things like that. So, but we used to, I think when I became a teenager, I used to ride my bike to Newport Beach, which was about a 20-mile bike ride with my friends, my girlfriends. And I just had so many great memories at the beach and like just the smell of the ocean. And so now that I live near the ocean, it's one of my favorite things is to get out of my car, open the door, and just like smell the ocean.
Aww.
I just feel so lucky to have have that part of nature so close by. So
Yeah.
so that makes me happy. So anyway, so this summer we're celebrating my daughter's 30th birthday and my mother's 85th birthday. You guys probably all know my mom.
Yeah.
She's gonna be 85.
Wow.
Yeah. And
Wow.
so super, healthy and energetic and active. And so I'm very, very fortunate to be able to celebrate that birthday with her. So
Wow. Well, that's amazing. I would have never guessed. I did not think your mother was anywhere near 85.
well, you know how old I am, so you got to do the math. And
Yeah. But especially because like she'll run circles around people. So, and it
Yes.
seems, pre-COVID days, I didn't go out a whole lot, but when I would go out to various events, your mom was always there. I mean,
Well,
it just
I'm
blew
glad
my
you did
mind.
not
She
tell me
was
that during COVID.
Huh?
We're trying to keep her contained during COVID. You know? It's not easy.
Well, thank you so much for sharing, Maureen.
Thank you.
And Lori, how are you doing tonight? What's your memory?
Hello. Maureen, you just brought back memories for me. I grew up really close to Orange County in East Long Beach, right next to Los Alamitos. So Disneyland was kind of our backyard. But my favorite memories, hands down, when I was a kid, it's because we were in Southern California and it was Long Beach. So it was very urban. For us, the forest, now we live really, a lot closer, but we would go every summer for many years to a family camp just outside of Yosemite. It was actually run by the city of Berkeley, not by UC Berkeley, because my parents happened to meet at Berkeley, but it wasn't that. I think it was city of Berkeley anyway. And it was, later when my parents could afford more, we went on a little bit, more extravagant trips, but to me, those were the best because I think it was my introduction to outside in the forest. I had 3 brothers, and it's funny, I'm the only one who ended up of all of us who did the camping as an adult and moved out the forest. They want the hotels and things, but we would go every day. My brothers and I, we actually sang together, the 4 of us, and we would perform at the nightly campfire or the weekly campfires for when they would have family night, and we would go every day down the river and practice our songs, the songs from, I'll be dating myself here, from Mary Poppins. You guys remember those songs? Yeah, still to this day. Yeah, so they're really great memories. I mean, I just, no, it wasn't, somebody just asked if it was Camp Mather. No, it was Camp Tuolumne. And actually, fast forward many years later, was able to take my own kids there for 3 summers in the late 90s, early 2000. With their dad, and it was so cool. Unfortunately, about 7 or so years ago, I think it burned down in one of the Yosemite fires. The whole thing. Yeah, I heard from actually a friend of mine who lives in Orange County. She said that she was invited to go, and I said, "Really? We went there when we were kids, long before I knew her." And then she told me, "Yeah, it had since burned down." So that was kind of
yeah.
Anyway.
And how about this summer?
Yeah, just to follow what everybody else has said, I've been going to Tahoe. I have a place there 1 week every summer. I've been going for 20 years, and I did it last year just when they said we could go up. It's on the Nevada side, but I know Zephyr Point. I'm in Incline Village in North Shore.
Oh, nice.
So,
nice.
Yeah, and I mean, I still, it's just to get out of the same 4 walls, and you can get out and do different stuff in nature. Just the crowds were crazy there last year, I think, because people were getting away, but
even if the crowds are crazy, at least you get to get out. It's still all good.
Sounds like Tahoe's the place, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
Well,
thanks, Barry.
thank you, Lori.
Yeah, thanks.
And Claudia, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Much better. And it's wonderful to hear all your memories. It triggered some of mine. I couldn't decide if I should choose the summers in the plum tree with my books, or when I was not in the plum tree, then I was at the public swimming pool where I biked there in the summer heat. And I always had a bottle of peppermint tea, and I had money, that 15 cents or 5 cents, whatever it was, for 1 roll with mustard. Stayed myself, and yeah, when I was not in the water, then I read, or I love to go on these jumping towers that we have in Europe, and I was a gymnast, so I could do all my saltos and all this stuff. So I was there from the very morning when it opened until it closed.
Wow, that sounds like fun.
That was fun. And
I assume this was Europe, because when you said a roll with mustard, I
Yeah.
thought, okay, yeah, this has got to be in Europe, because in the States it would be a roll with a bunch of sugar on it,
No.
So,
Yeah, that was in Germany, yes. And summer memories, I mean, I am terribly sorry. I had not planned to travel, but somehow I just booked a flight to Germany yesterday for 2 weeks. To see my
wow.
sister. My mom can't travel anymore, and my son he's going off to college. And just coincidentally, the last weeks, they always were like, I have these little pretzels from Trader Joe that they made and that they sell, and then some sausages. And they were always like, oh, if I could go to Germany. And my older son even, I'm like, I wasn't aware that they want to go. So I just looked, I found a good flight and I booked.
Oh, that's great.
With them. And today I actually looked up, I'm going to take them probably in an overnight train through Tuscany, Pisa. And I have a place from a local friend that have a house there. So I can go there for a few days.
Wow. Wow.
Overnight. Anyway, yeah, I'm excited.
That is exciting. Wow.
I'm very sorry I cannot make the 1st of August.
Oh, hey, no, we understand.
I had to make a choice.
Wow, no, very exciting. I'm so happy for you. That's great. And to be able to go with your sons, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Thank
and
you for
Marcia, hi, how are you? You're still muted.
Now,
there you go.
So I grew up in Buffalo, New York, and every summer, all summer, we lived in a very basic cottage, but we would move out there when school ended and stay there until school started and move back to our house in town. So my summers, all my life that I lived at home, were in our cottage on Lake Erie. And now I have my first bathing suit.
Oh, it's so cute.
It's a very old bathing suit because I wore it when I was probably a year and a half. So it's over 70 years old, this little.
Wow, and it's held up.
You know,
that's adorable.
So a real appreciation for the lake and being outside. We weren't in the cottage very much. And this summer, the memory that we will be making is that my daughter is birthing her second child. So I will have my second granddaughter born. Her due date is July 18th.
Oh, exciting.
Very exciting.
Yes. Wow. Wow. Well, that's great. Wonderful things to look forward to. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
That's awesome. And Finishte, how are you tonight?
Hi, I'm doing well, thank you. So I was born in Tehran, Iran, and so my growing up days were in Tehran, but my father's family was from Esfahan, which is the second largest city in Iran, and it's a very beautiful city. And every summer, as long as I can remember, we would go to Esfahan in summers to visit my uncles and my grandmother and grandfather and on his side. And the memories, now that I think back about it, it's just so fun because it was a big family. And like the way the houses were built, I don't know if this was just my family or it was a typical thing, but the like a great uncle and his brothers had houses that had passages to each other, like small, tiny streets, and or the aunts would be doing the same. So if you went to one's house, they would invite, like on a Friday, which was the holidays of the week, or the weekend, I should say, you'd see like 30 people, and lunch would be served on the floor. The tablecloth was spread on the floor, and full of food, and it was just eating and just having fun. And
This was every Friday?
It was well, as long as I was in Esfahan and visiting. It was just for me. It would have been like maybe one or two, but yeah, it was just really something. I mean, the closeness of family there And when
Aw.
people get older, they still have their family. They're just
Yeah.
not put into a home. So yeah, and this summer, I hope to just make a lot of memories. I love traveling, but I haven't traveled far for a lot of years. And this year I'm going to go to Mount Shasta with my group of Rumi friends from Los Angeles.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, that's it's just they do it every year, and I've done it only one other time, and I'm really looking forward to that. And that's in August.
Oh, wow. That'll be wonderful. Mount Shasta has such an amazing energy. That's going to be, and to be with your friends who, oh, wow. That's going to be
Yeah,
great.
a lot of people that I know, and a lot of people that joined the group after I left. So it's always very nice.
Nice. Well,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you for sharing. That's amazing.
Thanks.
Okay, let's see. How about Jamie?
Hello, everybody. Nice to see you all. Well, we all have so many childhood memories. It's really hard to figure out which ones, but certainly a very special one for me when I was little was going to my mother's family to visit my grandmother in upstate New York. And it was so delightful going to the cottage on Lake Ontario, and Sackett's Harbor was there. And that's where, we could use boats, rowboats, and also sailboats and things like that. And I can just still remember, my toes in the water. I can still smell my grandmother's chocolate chip cookies. I can still see her food or soup that she served in those bright Fiesta pottery and all those colors. But that was my East Coast thing. But then on the West Coast, one year, my grandparents from New York came and visited us in Southern California, and we drove all the way up through the Sequoias and into the Sierra and then to Yosemite. And my parents made it so that I arrived in Yosemite when I was 7, but by the next day I was 8. So I celebrated my 8th birthday in Yosemite, and I was just blown out of the water. I'd never been in the high Sierra before, and they still had the firefall thing. And I think we stayed at the Ahwahnee. And after that, all I wanted to do is be in the mountains. And I had a book on Switzerland and Austria, and I kept going, I really want to go there. I want to go to Switzerland. I want to be in the mountains. And so my dad had a business thing where he had to go to Germany for a month in winter or winter spring. And so I got to go with my parents, but all I remembered of Germany was cars, Autobahns, and rain, and the occasional cow here and there. So I was so unhappy that my dad promised that he'd take me to Salzburg in Austria because I was really into music and Mozart, and Switzerland. So I was going to get two. I was going to get Austria and Switzerland. And so we did indeed go, and we drove there. And I just happened to find today a couple of my souvenirs from Switzerland. And one of them is, let's see, put this up. It's a little Swiss chalet.
Yeah, sweet.
The shutters on, and it's the type that opens up. And then I didn't realize when I opened it, but I've got a little troll doll in there. It's been in here, well, since I was 12 is when I was there. And then I also brought back a little Swiss cow, and it has a little bell around his neck. And I guess Switzerland made such a big impression on me that I ended up, having to marry someone where my mother-in-law lived in Switzerland. So I just had to go and visit my mother-in-law every year. So I'm thrilled. I'm a mountain girl. I stopped being a hippie when I moved to Aspen, and I became a mountain mama. Yay!
Great. Yay. Well,
Yay.
how about what are your plans for this summer?
You know,
Weird.
we don't really have any, but all I've been thinking about is all I want to do is I want to go camping. I want to go camping and I want to be on a lake. And I don't know, Tahoe might be kind of out of the question. So I have my own little places, including Bear Valley and Lake Alpine, and they have a ton of little lakes all back in there. It's in between Yosemite and Tahoe.
Right. Yeah.
So I really, really hope we'll get there.
Well,
And
I
but my
hope-
body's not as resilient as it was the last time I went camping up there. So we'll see how well I sleep on the ground.
Yeah.
And we'll see if the bears come to visit again.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing your mountain memories, mountain girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. How about Sherry? Sherry, no O.
Okay. Well, my memory from childhood is when I was in Girl Scouts and we went to Camp Tanglewood each summer, and it was in Anderson, Indiana, where I was born and raised. And we would do all the s'mores things. We do the craft projects. We would sing the songs around the fire. And it was just a wonderful, wonderful time, and loved all of our camp leaders. Just that's when I realized how women are so awesome. And besides my mother. And so we just had a wonderful time at Camp Tanglewood. It changed over during like the recession and had to become something else, but I'll always have those memories of Camp Tanglewood with Girl Scouts. And then for this summer, as I've told most of you, we'll be leaving tomorrow. Now it's tomorrow instead of Tuesday, to head to see my family in Phoenix and friends, because we lived there for like 23 years. So we have a lot of people there to see. But the big thing is I'll get to see my Ferris, which she was born last May, and this will be the first time that we've seen her. So I'm really
Aw.
looking forward to that and holding on to her.
Yes.
And
Oh,
yes,
that's so
it's gonna
sweet.
she's our 8th grandchild.
Wow.
And so very excited about seeing her.
Yes. Wow. Well, that's great. That's very, and you're leaving tomorrow morning.
No, tomorrow afternoon after Jerry works for a while.
Oh, okay. But still, you're leaving tomorrow. So
yes,
it's coming
but
up.
we decided to we haven't been able to drive very far. So I told Jerry, I said, why don't we just stay in Pasadena or someplace 5 hours away and then start the next day and head to Phoenix, because we're just not adept at the driving part of it yet. So everybody say good things for safe travels and
yes,
everything, but it's going to be exciting. It'll be 115, 117, but we'll be in the pool. So
Yeah.
okay.
At least there's air conditioning. So that's good.
Yes, most
Well,
definitely. Most
safe,
definitely.
safe travels and just so much joy to you. Yeah. Being able to see
Thank
sweet
you.
Ferris.
Yes,
And
yes.
Miss Julie, up in Reading. Let's see, where's
Yes.
are you going to have a Reading memory?
Yeah, I was going to have a Reading memory. So I'm up in Reading, place of my birth. And, but then everyone's stories have brought back, there's so many memories, but I'm going to, every summer we would go to Patrick's Point. So we would grow from Reading from 110, 115, Sherry, you know about that. And then over to the coast and camp. We would rent a Prowler in Eureka and then attach it to the station wagon, and we'd go camp at Patrick's Point. And so Patrick's Point has always had a really close place to my heart. And just coming out of that heat and seeing the ocean, that gave me my real love of the ocean. And I'm just so thankful to live here. And my plan for the summer, my summer memory, I'm very excited about it because I'm going backpacking in your neck of the woods, old neck of the woods, Terry. I am backpacking out of Mammoth and going to a hot springs with a group of friends, and this is my friend Ted's, who died earlier this year. So we're taking his ashes to his favorite hot springs up in the mountains. So
Oh,
really excited. We start at Devil's Post Pile, which
yeah, beautiful.
yeah, and then up to the
Oh,
hot.
wow. You are in for a treat.
Yes, I know. I'm really excited to be backpacking, but unfortunately that's going to be during the Sister Share retreat. So I'm so sorry to miss that, but I'm excited to go backpacking.
That's right. Yeah. Wow. That's exciting. Definitely. Yay. And Sherry with an O.
Okay, hi. Well,
Hi.
if you're in speaker mode, you can see this picture behind me. And there's an arrow that is actually pointing at me, and I am plugging my nose to jump in the lake. So I was born and raised in Kalispell, Montana, and every summer we would go to our place on Flathead Lake. So Flathead Lake is a lot like Tahoe, only it's actually bigger. Biggest lake west of the Mississippi is what I always remember saying. So that's my dad up at the top, the skinny tall man. And then my older sister, and then I'm in the middle, I'm the middle child, and then my little brother. So this summer, we still have the same lake place. We've redone the dock many times. We're gonna jump off that exact same place, all four of us.
Wow.
We won't have my mom. Dad's gonna jump off, Sue, Sherry, Steve. Somebody's gonna have to take the picture, but it's gonna be the four of us, and I will still have to plug my nose because I never learned how to jump in without plugging my nose. Crazy.
Oh, hey, we could practice. We could practice in the ocean here before you go.
Oh, would you teach me that?
Yeah, I'd be up for that. Well, that sounds exciting. That's great. When do you leave for Montana?
So we leave mid-July, and we will be gone at least a month and a half. We'll be staying up there.
Wow.
I used to spend every summer up there. The only time in my 64 years that I've missed going is last summer because of COVID. So I'm very, very excited to go up there.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. And safe travels to you as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. So much joy to you. Oh, and Marisa. There we go.
Hey everyone. Yeah. So I have to think, I think my favorite memories as a child is camping with my father. My father would take us to different places, and he used to bring us here, and we used to camp at Sunset Beach. And yeah, he liked to travel, so he instilled that in me, and he loved to camp. So camping with my father, and no plans really this summer, just, working, and it's our time to work with surf school, and just being here and enjoying this beautiful place that we live, because it's gorgeous here. So
You are absolutely right. Yeah. Well, that sounds great. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. I think I've called, and I guess Claudia's got to go. She's saying waving goodbye, so that's all right. We'll see you. I think I've called everybody. So I'm just going to wrap up with a quick story of mine, which is that the first time I ever went to Yosemite, which anyone who knows me knows that I love Yosemite, and that's where I hope I die there. Even though my husband says that's creepy, but I do hope I die there. So, because that means I'm happy when I die. But I remember when I was 12 years old, my grandmother and my mother decided we were going to go to Yosemite. I grew up, we were rather poor. So, and my grandmother never drove. My mom's car was not going to make it to Yosemite. So they planned a trip where we would go, and we had to take the Greyhound bus. And that trip started early in the morning, at the LA Greyhound bus terminal, which is anytime you've been around a bus terminals are not very nice. And it was like, I don't know, 5 a.m. and we left, and it was a very long ride. And I was sitting behind someone who probably hadn't washed their hair for weeks because I kept getting this sour whiff. And I remember the whole time I had my head in my sweatshirt because I couldn't stand the air. And when we got off for a break, my mom asked, because they were on the other side, you know, my grandmother and mom, and my mom kept saying, "Why do you have your head in your sweatshirt?" And I said, "Well, because, you know," told her why. Anyway, then we ended up getting to Fresno, where we had to sit and wait for several hours. And again, you know, Fresno in the summer, it was, I don't know, 100+ degrees. There was no air conditioning in the bus place. And so we waited for several hours to get on a smaller bus. And then that bus finally took us to Yosemite. And when we got there, it was dark. So we arrived at night. I didn't really know where I was. I just knew I was thrilled to be in the mountains because I love mountains, and I really didn't get to go very often because we were poor. So the next morning I woke up and I came out of our tent cabin, and I looked up, and then I got to see, I don't know if you can really see that, but that's a photo of Half Dome. It's an Ansel Adams photo. It's probably not the best photo, but I mean, it's an awesome photo. It's an Ansel Adams photo. It's just not showing well on here, but I was just in awe. It was like, because I got there in the dark, and then to wake up in the morning and step out into, it was like looking at the face of God. It was just like, wow, it was amazing. I fell in love. And back in those days, that's when they still have, well, not this year, but they usually have shuttle buses that they'll take you around on. And back in those days, they had a double-decker shuttle bus, kind of like the kind in England. So I made sure I would always run and get up on top. And I just loved riding the shuttle bus so I could see everything. And so, but I remember, I think I just kind of vaguely remember seeing women getting married, you know, and I just thought that'd be so cool to get married in Yosemite. So most of you know I've been married 3 times, and 3 times is the charm. And this last time, that's where I was. There we were. We got married in the meadow with Half Dome behind us. And so that was my dream come true. So to have a man who really cherishes and adores me, it really is like a dream come true. So, and as far as memories for this summer, we're still just have some things going on where we're not going to be able to travel. But just like Marisa said, and several of the others of you have said also, we live in such an amazing place that, you know, we're so blessed. I mean, just the other night I walked in the ocean, you know, just taking my walk in the ocean. And, you know, we have the redwoods so close, and wherever we are, life is full of amazement and wonder and awe. Tonight, when Shandara said to think of 5 things that you see, I mean, I was looking around my room here, but then she said, or something you hear, and it was like, oh, the bird sounds, because I've been hearing so many birds, or, you know, and then I turned and I looked, and then it was like, oh, the trees out the window, and just there's everywhere we go, you know, whether it's a butterfly, whether it's a bird circling, there's just amazement and awe in everything. So really no need to go anywhere. So thank you all so much for sharing all of your childhood memories. And some of you have some fabulous trips and things coming up, and some grand events like meeting your granddaughter for the first time ever, Sherry. Just giving thanks for all the blessings that we all have in our life. So appreciate you all for sharing. And now I think I'm going to turn it over to Kay, who's muted.
It wasn't unmuting. So can you hear me okay? I always have to gauge the level so I'm not yelling. Okay. So last month we hosted TIP Global Health with Wendy Leonard and her sweet mother. It was wonderful to have them both back again. And TIP is a sustaining Sister Share program. And if you didn't get a chance to give or you forgot, please, they still need help for their mission and you can still donate. And we have enjoyed getting to know sisters better through our 5 Sisters Share articles in the newsletter. Our June and July sisters were Jamie, Julie, Kira, Lynn, and Patty. And Sherry has lapis lazuli hearts for each one of you as a thank you for sharing. And for me, it's kind of a memory and continued connection with sisters. And in July, we are going to take a summer break. And the 2 Sherrys particularly, I want to say you both really deserve a break. I feel like the newsletter and all the Zoom calls have been a really big way of staying connected and keeping informed and a place to give input. So there will not be a regular newsletter in July. So we all can come together in the way that we want to, and just wishing everybody to have a wonderful, safe time. And we look forward to getting together in August at our Sisters Day Summer Social, which is Sunday, August 1st. And we already know some people can't make it, but if you haven't signed up yet, please get in touch with Sherry as soon as possible. We have a wonderful list and people are coming. Joy is coming. So people, yes, Joy is coming. So it's not just local people. I think once we're a sister for life, and even if we don't live in Santa Cruz. So that's a great thing to look forward to. And as noted in our June newsletter, we have a great lineup of programs and plans for sisters September through December. And for the remainder of 2021, we're planning to have one fabulous circle each month. And the dates and the times will vary. So make sure each month you double check so you know that's the specific one for that month. And we may be adding some special sister outings in October for open studios. And we already know that Farish Day and Claudia will be doing open studios. So we had kicked around the idea of some of us going together to those events. So we have our break in July. August 1st, we have our summer social. September 19th, we're supporting LHI's new school in Guatemala. October 17th, the Monterey Bay National Marine Life Sanctuary. November 14th, Esperanza Community Farms. And to end the year with a party, which is a sisters thing we like to do, December 12th, Sister Share Soiree at Stockwell Cellars. So we always appreciate sisters bringing nonprofit programs to our attention. So if there's a program that you're thinking of, please let us know, because for our mission, we support programs with women founders or directors and or in support of girls and women with a woman spokesperson for our circle. So again, if you've got ideas, send your suggested program to Sherry, and chosen programs are sister selected and have 2 leader approvals. And we're already taking suggestions for 2022. And as a vote happened tonight, we have a repeating program already on our list. So I wanted to say 2 of our programs that we've supported this year, Gray Bears and Hope's Closet. I was part of a giant swap meet, and Farish Day came, and my whole car was full of clothes and kids' clothes and shoes. So I stopped by Gray Bears, swung by Hope's Closet, and took the rest to the Daisy store, which supports family services. And part of family services programs is also CASA, so foster care support. So we all got support for a lot of agencies. Both Hope's Closet and Gray Bears still need volunteers. If people have that in their hearts and time, they are asking for that. So does any sister have an announcement they want to make? Gail?
No, it's just a question. So I just wanted to clarify that the social event on August 1st is in lieu of a meeting or get together in August later.
Correct.
Okay, and then Barbara just wanted to make sure that you guys saw in the chat that she kept getting kicked out, so that's why she left when she left. That's all I want to say.
Boo.
Yeah.
And for the people that have signed up, there will be more information coming to the people that have signed up for the August event before then. But we're
Yeah,
not
I
putting an
noticed-
exact date on it because we're letting Sherry have a little bit of a break. Anybody else have an announcement?
I noticed that Barbara kept getting kicked off. Daisy Store, what, that is the one located in
On the 41st Avenue,
by
it's in
the
same shopping center as Palace, and it's now
yeah, okay,
yeah,
yeah.
it's a great,
you.
great store. Yeah. Farish.
Before the October Open Studios, I have my next show that is, like after a year and a half of being in COVID and not having a show, it's at the Bargetto Winery. So if any of you like to come for just walking around and seeing things and then tasting wine, it's next month, July 17th and 18th. And it should be just a fun outing, but I'll be showing some of my new pieces.
Will you be sending an email out with that?
Yes, I
Great.
will do that. And if I don't have your emails, I'll just gonna, from one person, I'll just ask to send it to others.
Okay.
Thank you.
And it was really kind of exciting because she was wearing one of her beautiful necklaces and earrings at the meeting on whatever Friday, and somebody commented about, oh, where did you get that necklace? And she was able to go, well, I have this event in July, and if you would like to be on the list, so we're getting a whole bunch of those women involved. Any other announcements? Okay.
Thank you, Kay.
You're
Now,
welcome.
this is going to be a little different because I want your opinion. We were going to have Andrea, she was going to lead us in an LunaFest talk about the movies. And this is the end, then we're going to go into LunaFest. How many of you would like to stay and talk about the LunaFest films? And then how many of you need to leave now?
I've
Talk
gotta
for
go also.
LunaFest?
Oh, no.
I need to leave.
Me
pretty
too.
soon.
Maybe
Yeah.
do it next time.
You asked two questions.
Sweet.
Oh,
Yeah. If we
okay. Then I want to thank everyone for coming this evening. And I also want to say that I'll miss Sister Share during July, and it's going to be weird not having it because that's what I've been doing for all of these months. And so you're very important to me. And I just want you to know that I love to have you if you could come on August 1st. It's obviously going to be fabulous. We've got a lot of people, a lot of things going on. Plus, this is going to be relaxing and renewing. And plus, it'll be really nice to be able to see sisters face to face and do some things too. And so I do want to say goodbye. And don't forget to give to the Yoga for All movement. I thought Chandara was awesome. And the things that they do, it's just incredible. It really touched me. And so anyway, we'll come up with a way to communicate about the LunaFest. So keep those in mind because it was it was a great thing, but it was difficult because we tried to get the link and things too, but if officially got one. So if any of you missed the LunaFest films and would like to see them, I've got a link that'll work for you. So just let me know that, and maybe we'll have more people that can watch them and talk to us sometime about it. We'll have to decide what will work best. But anyway, thank you so much. Love to all of you. I'm gonna miss all of you, but I'm gonna hold my grandbaby. So that's good.
Safe